The one that's doing the rounds today is RB Leipzig's Xaver Schlager, who is a 28-year-old midfielder. And this is a funny one as well, because other reports in Germany seem to suggest that if Schlager goes, he could be replaced by Arne Engels, which is an interesting one.
It's an interesting one. There's obviously a lot of moving parts with that one. They added the Engels element as well. I'd imagine that'll come down to the value of. I mean, listen, Engels' ceiling in terms of value would potentially be higher than Schlager's in the short term. I mean, he's 28. Engels is 22. International with Belgium. I know he's not had a great season, but I think he has got a lot of potential, and he's a good player.
Mick, I don't really get the kind of hate that Engels get. I know it's the price tag mainly, but I think he's a decent player. He's got a great delivery. I don't really see it.
It's because he's not particularly the most flashy. You think Celtic spending 11 million quid, you want guys that are culling balls in the top corner every second week and scoring hat tricks and all that kind of stuff. It's because he's more perfunctory. It's more of a kind of unglamorous role at times. Midfield. I do think he's got a tendency in certain Scottish games when it gets a bit harem scarum, he does tend to kind of go into his shell a bit. But I still think when you see it actually against better teams, I think against better teams he plays at a different level. I've seen it. I think in Europe he's been really good in a lot of European games. It depends on money. I mean, Celtic, if you said would you get their money back from, is it worth selling for that? I'm not entirely sure he would be. I think a new look. I mean, Celtic going to rebuild in the summer. Mm-hmm. If you rebuild and bring in some decent players, I think Arne Engels could raise his game and make more money than that. I think eventually. I mean, he's got the physique, the power. He's got a thing on him. I think I wouldn't be in a hurry to get him off the books. It depends on the player as well, but he might think, you know what, Scotland's a madhouse. I want out here. He wouldn't play him because I mean, this year especially has been a bit chaotic.
I mean, the flip side of it as well is Arne Engels has probably got a career plan as well.
Aye.
Usually, when a player of that calibre and that money comes into a club at Celtic, 2 years is usually the most you get out of him, and then move on. So there's that side of it as well. You know, he's probably not been as good as everyone expected him to be. Obviously, he's divided opinion. But you know, if he holds out to the summer and mix right, he might have an opportunity to make even more than Celtic paid for him. That might be the ideal time to sell him. But in terms of this January window, I just don't think I don't really think you can afford to let any first team players go at this minute. What I do think though is that Celtic seriously do need something different in midfield. I think they look so leggy at times. You know, Callum McGregor's not getting any younger, but I still think he's quicker than Arne Engels and Ben Nygren in there. So I do feel as if Celtic need a dynamic midfielder, a bit like Hatate in his prime, but we've not seen that from Hatate for the last year or a year and a half. So I think Celtic are crying out for a different option in there. And obviously, it's like he fit the bill.
It's a guy with a lot of pedigree. You know, a good career. I mean, I think he's nearly 50 caps for Austria. Mm-hmm. The kind of player that Celtic should be looking at.
He would come with a big salary as well.
But at 28, he doesn't fit. I mean, that's the thing. It doesn't fit the kind of Celtic kind of model for that kind of age and stuff like that. But he's a player that Celtic kind of need, I think, at this point in time. But the Celtic's model is obviously at the moment a little bit in kind of ruins, really. It's in the bin, really. Celtic's model. It's a kind of very short term viewpoint this window. But 28, I mean, if you get 3 or 4, if you get him for, I mean, we're talking about £4.5 million, £4 million, you get 3 or 4 years at him. Here's
another thing to kind of throw into the mix as well. Brendan Rodgers is a fan of Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor might have an opportunity to leave Celtic, probably not in this window, but possibly in the summer. So could he be coming in as a replacement for Callum McGregor? And like you're talking about, you might not fit Celtic's model, but Celtic will need an experienced player in there, Callum McGregor, to go. So that's something to consider as well.
I mean, he's obviously 28. He doesn't fit the, quote unquote model. But not every player has to be a development player, do they? I mean, surely Celtic sometimes have to sign, for want of a better phrase, the finished article.
Mm-hmm. They do, but it's not something they tend to do over the years.
Right. Because it costs money.
Because it costs money, and the resale value dips every year. Yeah. So you're talking, saying a guy for £4.5 million, 28 by 31, he's not really worth much at that point. But I think this guy helps win leagues and get into Europe and progress in Europe, then it pays for itself. So I agree. I think Celtic should be looking at these kind of guys. It's something Celtic have lacked, in it, particularly in the European environment. Guys with a bit of experience at the European level. That's why I think Celtic have had some good performances, but not enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
Too many bad ones and too many disastrous ones.
Yeah.
So you can get a guy that's got 50 caps for his country, plays in Europa League and Champions League every year. I think it can only benefit the squad. It's just we don't really know what Celtic's strategy is for the next kind of period. I think it's Celtic coming. I've said before, they're coming to the end of a cycle. Regardless, I think the days of complete utter dominance are now over, because Rangers are on a level playing field now with their new owners. You get the Hearts and the kind of Jamestown revolution. I think now it's a whole new dynamic in Scottish football. So that we need to see where, and it'd be helpful if somebody from Celtic would actually face the media and explain what great new vision is going to be for the next 5 years. But I don't think that's going to be coming anytime soon. But so we don't actually know what's going to be the strategy for the next rebuild. Is it going to be the kind of the projects and all that stuff, which is a risky business when you're not guaranteed league success? So yeah, it's an interesting period for Celtic. In the short term, it's getting guys in the door that's going to help try and win the league.